We have now moved on to the superorder Galeomorphi. So this is episode 6 of Shark Lore. How the episodes go is I'll discuss each species within a family per episode. I'll provide maximum length, how deep they can swim, their diet, mode of reproduction, and any other additional facts that are worth discussing. So this episode we will be looking at the Heterodontiformes, otherwise known as the horn sharks. So their general characteristics are they have oddly shaped heads that are designed to have flattened teeth, and the flattened teeth are used to crush through harder shells such as mollusks or crustaceans, and they have distinct corkscrew-shaped eggs. The first species is the horn shark itself, Heterodontis francisci, a fairly small nocturnal predator that gets up to 3.3 feet in length. They get their name from the spines on their back that look about as thick as horns. Their teeth, however, are a much cooler characteristic. They have molars that crunch on mollusks, sea urchins, sea stars, bony fish, and crustaceans. They're one of the only species that are able to eat sea stars. These molars give these sharks the highest bite force relative to their size out of any shark, and the juveniles have to eat softer things such as worms and sea anemones before growing up to eat harder things. Their habitat is shallow reefs and algae beds around 36 feet below, but will occasionally dive down to caves as deep as 660 feet. They remain motionless most of the time as they feed on motionless prey, but will swim away quickly if they are startled. For reproduction, the mother lays the eggs, so they are oviparous, and they are quite unique, having up to 24 eggs laid at a time with each capsule shaped like a drill that is essentially squeezed into the rocks and crevices for effective safety against predators. Larger snails, however, sometimes consume the eggs. The Port Jackson shark, or Heterodontis portus jacksoni, grows up to 5.5 feet in length and swims down to 902 feet, but usually live above 330 feet, and they use their molars to crush mollusks, crustaceans, sea urchins, and bony fish. It can be hard for them to digest their stomach, with it being J-shaped, and often will throw up their stomach to get rid of unwanted food. It's observed that water goes in through the first gill slit and goes out the other four, and for reproduction they are oviparous, laying 8 pairs of corkscrew eggs, and it is also speculated that juveniles are much less social than adults are. The crested bullhead, or Heterodontis galeatus, grows up to 5 feet in length, swims down to 305 feet, with diet consisting of sea urchins and other invertebrates, and sometimes the sea urchins will stain the teeth purple. They also eat the eggs of Port Jackson sharks because they are rich in nutrients. So that's what the picture on the left is showing. And crested bullheads also have oviparous reproduction with corkscrew eggs themselves, but have 2 6-foot-long tendrils that are poking out to not mistake them from eating their own eggs, and the tendrils latch onto seaweed and sponges. The Japanese bullhead, or Heterodontis japonicus, lives in shallow water and grows up to 3.9 feet in length, with the depth at around 121 feet, and they can protrude their jaws to crunch on mollusks, crustaceans, sea urchins, and bony fish, with oviparous reproduction of around 6 to 12 pairs of corkscrew eggs that stick to rocks and kelp until they hatch after about a year. The Mexican horned shark, or Heterodontis mexicanus, grows up to 2.3 feet in length and will often spend their time in the shallow, rocky waters. They are oviparous in reproduction, with, again, spiral eggs that attach to rocks, and the diet is unknown. The Oman bullhead, or Heterodontis omanensis, grows up to 2 feet in length, swims down to 262 feet, and reproduction is likely the spiral eggs with an unknown diet, and the information is poor because they were recently discovered in 2005. The Galapagos bullhead, or Heterodontis cui, grows up to 3.5 feet in length and swims down to 131 feet. They are a poor swimmer, so they will often ambush shellfish and crabs with oviparous reproduction with the typical pairs of spiral eggs. The white-spotted bullhead, or Heterodontis ramalhera, grows up to 2.7 feet in length, swims down to 1,000 feet with oviparous reproduction with the spiral eggs and an unknown diet. The beautifully colored zebra bullhead, or Heterodontis zebra, grows up to 4.1 feet in length, swims down to 656 feet, with diet being bony fish and bottom-dwelling invertebrates, with oviparous reproduction with the spiral eggs that will latch onto rocks and kelp. The newly discovered painted horn shark, or Heterodontis marshalli, was initially mistaken for a zebra bullhead. However, it was recently discovered in this year, 2023, that it is a new species that can grow up to 2 feet in length and is found near northwestern Australia around 751 feet down. And finally, if this even counts as a species, the cryptic horn shark, or species X, is a possible new species found in Baja, California, with solid brown coloring, and was found by J.I. Castro and Gavin Naylor that analyzed a couple specimens. And yes, this is the actual reference image that it shows, so there's a good chance that it is fake. And with that, this concludes the episode of looking at these surprisingly beautifully colored sharks. And the next episode is going to be my favorite shark family.